What the Actual Fork podcast is co-hosted by two intuitive eating registered dietitians, yours truly, Sammy Previtt, owner of Fine Food Freedom, and Jenna Warner, owner of Happy, Strong, Healthy. We can't stand diet culture bullshit and love keeping it real. Our mission is for all humans to believe that they are made for so much more than chasing a smaller body. We are also here to share with you that food can be fun and pleasurable again. Although we are medical professionals, we are human too. We are not afraid to share our deepest, darkest secrets and how years of our lives were taken by diet culture. We started this podcast so no human has to feel alone in their journey towards food freedom. So get comfy and join us for a casual convo where you can expect to laugh, cry, learn, and grow.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of What the Actual Fork podcast. Today, Sam and I had the privilege of interviewing the brother-sister duo who are the creators of Soul CBD, which is a CBD company that you have heard about on the past couple of our episodes that Sam and I have personally been taking. And today we got to learn so much more about the product and the company and the owners. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about Mike. So Mike was a professional boxer, and his journey as a boxer has had a lot of ups and downs. And in the prime of his career, he spent almost 2 years in and out of hospitals battling what he found out was an autoimmune disease that almost ended his career. He then immersed himself in the wellness world, learning everything that he could about nutrition, mindset, and most importantly, CBD. With the help of the latter, Mike defied every doctor's prognosis and went on to win 8 more fights, becoming the number 3 ranked fighter in the world and eventually fighting for a world title last July. Today, Mike is the CEO and co-founder of Soul CBD, which is a 7-figure and family-owned CBD wellness brand. And with his company, Mike continues to deliver on his mission by helping thousands of people find natural relief from pain, anxiety, and more.
And Angie's bio, I'm taking right off her website. First of all, she's a world-renowned speaker. I don't know if you've ever seen like her speaking events that she does, the Pays to Be Brave, but she pulls in crowds of thousands. She's also a top podcaster in like literally the entire world. But she likes to say that she helps people own their weird, hack their health, and start before they're ready. She was a college and corporate dropout. And then she just started health blogging in her dorm room, started her podcast in her closet, and now has an audience of over 100,000 on social media and has so many millions of downloads later. She's passionate about helping everyone. She calls herself a cheerleader and a permission slip for women to unapologetically own their weird and chase after their big, scary dreams.
I love that. Both of those bios fit them perfectly. This interview was one of the first times we've had 4 people on the screen, which was so fun. I hear my dog barking right now. I'm going to quickly order those CBD treats for him when we hang up here. But in this episode, you're going to learn a lot more about what CBD is, what to look for in a CBD brand. So they really did a great job explaining what sets their product apart, why you should use CBD if it's for you. And we talked a lot just about their stories and how this brand came to be. It's educational, it's informative, and it was a really fun conversation. So without further ado, let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of What the Actual Fork podcast. We are super pumped because today we have the owners, creators, and founders of Soul CBD, which is a CBD company that Sam and I have personally been using and our families. And we have found out that the owners are brother and sister. And so we're going to go right into it and talk about, did you guys always know you wanted to work together? Sam, we're both brothers, and I don't think my brother and I could work together, but I would love to. Sam shaking her head because I know they couldn't work together. But
I mean, Mike wants to kill me every day, so.
No, it's funny. We've always been close as we were younger. We had one other business that we started early on that ended up failing, and we talk about it all the time. I mean, we lost money and I guess time, but we learned so much during that quote unquote failure. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. You know, my mom is head of customer service. She does bookkeeping. It's a total family affair at Soul CBD. So it's funny as like CEO trying to manage that because Angie's my partner, but also my little sister. And so, some days we love each other and some days we're screaming at each other.
I love that so much. And so now a proper introduction. Can you both introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about Soul CBD?
Yeah. Or want me to go, Mike? Or
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where it's hard when there's 4 of us on here. So Mike and I started this, gosh, has it been officially 3 years technically, right, Mike, since our first day of like the idea of this, would you say?
Yeah,
Wow.
3 years.
That's like nothing. It's crazy. I feel like so much has happened. But yeah, it's interesting. My background is in health and wellness. I went to school to be a dietitian originally, but then as a very, typical ADD entrepreneur, ultra creative person, somebody told me how much dietitians make and how hard they work, and I quit. So at 20 years old, I was like, I'm out of here. Peace. And so I Googled, how do you make money from blogging? Literally was $100,000 in debt. Did not know that was a thing. And just started building an audience. And that's what I love to do. I love community building, culture building. I love being social, sharing content and creating content. So my background's kind of been just me sharing my evolution from health and wellness influencer, then was in the business space. And now it's kind of in the lifestyle, wellness and business space and entrepreneur space. I'm a podcaster, speaker, kind of do a few different things. And then Mike and I fell in love with CBD. He was using it as an athlete for pain. I was using it for anxiety as just a crazy, hectic entrepreneur who is trying to do it all. And we fell in love with it. And he said, hey, let's give this to other people. Let's help other people. We had no experience in cannabis. We were not experts in DTC, cannabis, anything like that. We just knew if we Googled enough stuff and we hired enough mentors, we could figure it out. So we put our own money in, and now 3 years later, we've built this massive brand. And so our story is very Ready as a Lie-esque in the sense that we didn't have all the answers. And my background was more just building a community and a brand and being an influencer. And Mike came with the background of being an athlete. So together, it's been kind of this cool mix of his gifts and my gifts and really balancing those out. So it's been a fun ride. It feels like it's been 10 years, but it's only been 3.
Yeah, it's wild in the startup world how much can change day by day, week by week. But yeah, we started the company 3 years ago in August. Actually, was our 3-year anniversary, and now we have a team of about 16 employees, and we are helping thousands of people every single month. And we're just so grateful to do that. What started as like a little side hustle in Angie's side bedroom, where we're literally labeling every single bottle and we're running to USPS to ship it, is now grown into this huge team. So super grateful for that. And I think that just speaks to the power of, Angie's community to really help us get this started, and also just the power of the products in general and how efficacious they are, and the branding and the community that we've built and responded to. And I think especially in the consumer product goods startup world, it's really important that you have phenomenal customer service. And that's something that we pride ourselves on. We have a really, really high return customer rate. And that kind of just shows how in tune we are with our audience. We're constantly listening to what their pain points are and then developing products based on that, instead of what's going to make the most money. Now let's make that product. And so that strategy is really kind of paid off now 3 years in.
That is awesome to hear. And I'm so impressed by your brother-sister dynamic. Like Jenna was saying, we both have brothers, and I just can't imagine working with them. We both love them dearly, but it's so cool to see. So we would love, Jenna and I have both used Soul CBD. We actively use it. But for listeners who have maybe never used CBD before, or just curious about what it is, if one of you want to take that question, and then I would love to piggyback off of that. So there's what CBD is, but what makes Soul CBD special, and what makes you guys different than other CBD brands? Because there's so many out there now.
Yeah, every single day there's a new one popping up. And one thing I will say, on that note, is it's really important that people are finding companies that they trust, and companies that are showing third-party lab testing. Every single one of our batches of our tinctures, our gummies, every single other ingredient, turmeric, Anything that goes into it, we are third-party lab testing to make sure it doesn't have heavy metals, it doesn't have pesticides, it has the right level of CBD and other cannabinoids. So I would say that's very important and something to look out for when choosing a CBD brand. We also choose to farm all of our hemp from organically sourced hemp, which I think is important as well. So we're just trying to do as much as we can, because when we started this, we were giving it to my mom, our family, our friends, our loved ones. And it was something I was taking on a daily basis. And as Angie talked about earlier, I spent a 10-year career as a professional athlete. So I was getting drug tested by WADA and, the World Doping Agency. And so there were huge implications if I tested positive for THC or, if there were other trace elements in there that wouldn't have been good. So for me to and I never failed a drug test my entire professional career, and I'm proud of that. And it kind of speaks to the highest drug testing and our product. But I'll circle back a little bit of what is CBD. CBD, known as cannabidiol, is found in hemp or marijuana. We choose to source it from hemp. CBD is a cannabinoid similar to a lot of other cannabinoids inside the plant. However, it has no psychoactive element to it. So what's really special about that is it has all the physical benefits, but will not get you high. What's also important is you cannot overdose on it. There's no toxicity with CBD, which I think is really incredible. I mean, you could walk into a CVS today and buy a bottle of Tylenol and take the whole bottle and kill yourself and overdose. And yet that's sold over the counter. So I think in terms of low risk, high reward, that's also important to note. What CBD does is it activates your endocannabinoid system. All mammals have endocannabinoid systems. So, and what it does is it puts your endocannabinoid system into homeostasis, your nervous system into homeostasis. So it kind of evens you out and also helps with inflammation. So we're finding from top down, it's helping with anxiety, it's helping with sleep, it's helping with pain. It's activating these CB1 and CB2 receptors in our endocannabinoid system, and basically just giving you a calmer, more level feeling. And so it's a beautiful product, considering that you don't have to get high, there's no toxicity, and it's something that you can work your way up towards as you kind of build up in your system.
That is awesome. And I'm very impressed by obviously all of your knowledge with this, because that's your business, but it's so cool to kind of hear that the science behind it and the receptors and all of the things. Because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, it's trendy, it's cool, I'm going to go get CBD. And like you said, they'll just buy any kind of CBD and not really know much about it. But I would love to then throw it over to Angie too, to see if there's anything you want to add, and or how did we get the name Soul CBD? I want to know if there's anything behind that as well.
Well, I love naming things. It's like one of my favorite little weird superpowers. I only have a few, but one of them that God gave me was I love naming things. I love being creative and thinking of really cool brand names. So Mike and I were on a walk. I actually remember where we were walking, his old place in Los Angeles, and I wanted to call it happy with an I, which ironically now we're coming out with a SKU called that, but I wanted to call it like joy or happy or something really girly. And I wanted to also call it like Daily RX and all these things that either he was like, oh, I don't know, or we couldn't legally say Daily RX because, you can't say it's a prescription. So we were kind of in this weird pickle of like, what do we call this? What do we call this? And I think it was Mike that was like, I just want people to feel good in their soul or something. So he was like, listen, if we don't come up with a name soon, we're not gonna be able to launch this. So let's just pick a name. And then he said the word soul. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So there wasn't like a magical moment. It was more of us frustrated because we were throwing around so many different names and we couldn't decide and we couldn't choose. It was really hard to name this. It really was. Usually I'm pretty on it with like courses or products or things, but it's so hard, right? Because you want a name that encapsulates the feeling, but then I don't know. It was hard. Is that what happened, Mike? It's hard to remember what happened.
Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, obviously you say the word soul and it means so many things to so many different people. But initially we wanted to call it Daily RX because the thing about CBD is it helps when you take it on a daily basis and builds up in your system. But we didn't like the RX medical kind of feel to it. So it's a lot of going back and forth and then hopping on USPTO and seeing if trademarks have already been taken, which all of our good ones we feel like already were. So we fell on it, and it just felt right once. I think I'll give Angie credit when she said the name right away. It just felt right.
Yeah, it was funny though, because we had everything else set up. Mike like had all the paperwork and all of these things and the legalities to launch the business, but the one thing was the name. We're like, shoot, we need a name. So that part was hard.
We are so honored to have had the opportunity to interview the Soul CBD founders today on this episode of the podcast. Sam and I have had the opportunity to try so far 3 out of quite a few of their incredible products on their page. And we are authentically really enjoying testing out the products for things like anxiety, stress management, and of course, to help with my favorite thing in the world, sleep.
Yes, we absolutely love sleep. And when we are perusing their website, we see that they also make CBD dog products, which we are definitely going to be sliding into their DMs and asking for some of those products as well, because you've heard our dogs barking on multiple episodes. And I feel like these CBD products could really help with some of that. But if you guys want to get your hands on some of these products, we do have a code for you, which we're super excited about. So you can go to mysoulcbd.com/WTAF and make sure to use the code WTAF at checkout. And that'll get you 15% off plus free shipping. Make sure to send us a DM once you try these products. We want to know what you guys think.
Sam and I definitely can feel for you in the USPTO website, whatever it's called, because a lot of time on there and it's a very frustrating space to be.
All the names are taken that you want, right?
Weirdest companies behind them, right? Like the ones that we wanted, we're like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, give that to us. My Instagram handle, there's still somebody that has like the original that I wanted. And I'm like, can I just pay you for this? Like, come on. But anyways, I digress. So I've taken your product. I'm a personal huge fan of the gummies. And what my response physically to it is, I just felt like this overwhelming sense of calm the first time I took it. And obviously ever since then, I do feel that relaxation sensation when I take the product. But I know from a lot of people, they're scared to take it, or they're maybe fearful of what it's going to make them feel. Can you just describe, with your product line, what expectations are from taking CBD? Because like you mentioned before, and like your website states, like people will take it for many different needs. What are some expectations or outcomes that they can expect?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ange.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, Mike can elaborate more, but it's interesting. It's really fascinating, this plant, and it's really cool because I can get a DM and a girl will tell me, hey, I took one gummy and I haven't slept as well in 20 years. And you're like, oh my goodness, 1 10 milligram gummy, which is crazy. And that's awesome. And so some people respond very well. Their body is very sensitive to it and they're primed for it. And then some people, they need to have it build up in their system a little bit and for it to have more of a, instead of an acute effect, more of like a chronic daily buildup. And so then some people will say, hey, after 3 months of being consistent, I finally feel like my anxiety is better, or I just feel a little bit less stressed and I feel like I can conquer my day a little bit more. So it's very interesting how people respond to it, which makes it very unique and interesting in order for us to give people specific amounts, because everybody responds differently. Like for me, even our gummies, I noticed that the 25 milligram, I definitely feel a significant difference in my sleep when I do 1 or 2 of those, but the 10s, I didn't as much. It took a little bit more. So I found my Goldilocks, my sweet spot of not too much, not too little. And so I think it's really about finding that sweet spot, but it is very interesting that everybody's body is different. So we really encourage people to be open-minded to trying different amounts and going for it and realizing that there is no toxicity level. So it's safe. And only you will know what that is, because there's just so many different factors that depict how it's going to respond to your body. So
Anything you want to add there, Mike, or did Angie hit the nail on the head?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she nailed it right there. It's interesting. Our biggest 3 pain points are anxiety, sleep, and pain. I think I mentioned that earlier. So we're finding that, while it's helping with a lot of things, those tend to be the three most common. Anxiety being number one. It kind of helps people put them in a calm state, but nothing where they're, high or not able to operate heavy machinery or anything like that. But we do have some products that have other ingredients in it that kind of supplement and help out with that as well. Like we have sleep caps that have melatonin, L-theanine. We just came out with sleep gummies actually that have CBN, which is known as cannabinol, which is a sleep-inducing cannabinoid. It has some terpenes. It also has melatonin. So what we've done as well is kind of taken a lot of other supplements that are well studied, well known, and thrown them in with different products for an alert pill, for instance, or a calm pill or a relief pill that helps with inflammation. So we have a lot of turmeric and white willow and a bunch of other additives that are really good for you. So it's kind of exciting that we get to hit those pain points. And it's incredible how many people are dealing with chronic pain. Myself included, after a 10-year sports career. So we're trying to give people an alternative, a healthy, natural alternative to pain, because I was someone that was on 8 different medications at one point. I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease midway through my professional career that almost ended my career as an athlete. And so I'm no stranger to the prescription medication. And while they have a place and a time and have done incredible things, long-term use just wasn't for me. And I knew a 9th medication wasn't the answer. So I started weaning off of all the medications and started finding healthy solutions. And CBD was one of the big pieces of that puzzle that really kind of got me back to doing what I loved and back to being healthy.
That's awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing that. And we are huge proponents on this podcast of intuitive eating and helping people just reconnect with their body. And so many of our clients and our listeners have anxiety, have stress, have pain. Who doesn't, right? And so we would love to hear from each of you, whoever wants to go first, in addition to CBD, right? Which is obviously what this podcast is all about. What are some things that you like to do that help you with anxiety, with pain, from a holistic approach? So other things, because I love how Jenna asked about expectations, because of course there's someone out there that'll think they'll pop one gummy and that all their pain and their anxiety will just poof, go away. So in addition to your CBD products, what are some things that you guys like to do for pain management or stress management?
I love that. I'm laughing. I'm thinking like all your life's problems will go away.
That'd
Your
be
boyfriend will
great.
get back with you. Life will just be great. Just pop one gummy and your life will be complete. I wish, right? Yeah, Mike and I are pretty big biohackers. So this is we love doing holistic health practices and modalities and things like that. And I know Mike's really big on sauna and cold plunge and a lot of those things. Currently, what I'm really into is breath work. I've really been exploring that more finally after years of hearing about it and always wanting to do it. I've been doing that more. I actually have a private breathwork teacher that comes over to the house a few days a week. So I'll do breath work. I've been trying to do, I do like IVs and more, biohacking stuff like that. But as far as anxiety, my biggest things I've noticed are my quality of sleep. So making sure I get good sleep, breath work, and then making sure that I eliminate and or reduce caffeine and sugar. So caffeine, sugar, and stimulants, obviously caffeine, are what really drive my anxiety. So I have to be really careful just throughout the day what I'm consuming. So I'm honestly pretty much on a no caffeine, no sugar diet. And that's really helped to stabilize my mood and my blood sugar. And that's what I've noticed helps my anxiety a lot in addition to CBD. So you're right. It's a holistic thing. You can't just take one thing and expect it to go away. CBD is just one of the tools in the toolbox. So
Yeah, she took all my answers basically.
You do a lot of stuff. I feel like you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do. But my favorite by far is the breath work. I think that, whether people are doing the holotropic breathing, like Angie's talking about with somebody, or even just box breathing, like, there's a simple one, 4-7-8 that I used to do before every single fight in the dressing room that would calm down my nerves, bring my cortisol levels down, where it's, inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, exhale out through the mouth for 8 seconds. And I would do cycles of that. So, there's little things like that. I love the infrared sauna and cold plunge. I think that people, and there's a lot of studies to back that it helps with inflammation markers. It helps with stress. You know, I'm a huge proponent of that. And I think it helps with anxiety as well. Obviously CBD that we spoke about, but yeah, so, you know, those are kind of the big things that I love to look into and really do on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing. I did that 4-7-8 my entire pregnancy, and it was one of the only things that calmed me down.
That's awesome.
It really works. The last question that we have for you guys is, on your website, you have dog products. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I have a dog who
need them.
I'm actually a little bit nervous because I don't see him. But every time the doorbell rings, the guy is a maniac. So can this help?
Yeah, we have a pet line, and it's crazy because it's funny how, you guys know, a lot of people in life will invest in their pets more than themselves. So girls will DM me and be like, I just spent $200 in the dog treats. And you're just like, oh, have you ever tried like the gummies? Oh no, but I got this for my dog. So it's like crazy how people trust, you know, investing in their dog sometimes more than themselves, which is kind of, you know, it's just crazy. But so yeah, it works really, really well. Dogs respond really well to CBD. It's crazy. I've used it on a bunch of different dogs I've had to lower their anxiety and their stress. It's great for traveling. That's really how I first discovered it for dogs, is I gave it to my old dog on planes, and it helped tremendously when he would get anxious flying. So I think it's something to definitely have. And your dog doesn't need to have anxiety to give it to your dog either. It could simply be for inflammation, joint pain. The dog is aging and it just needs to stay healthy and young. And I think that everybody should be on it daily just for inflammation in general. So even if that's not something you can externally see in the dog, it's still really healthy for their inflammation. So yeah, I love it for dogs. I know people give it to their cats too now. So Mike doesn't love cats, but you know, we still support the cats.
I love dogs though. I have dogs on my sweatshirt right now. I have pugs, but yeah, we just rescued a 2-year-old. It's like a terrier mix. And she had a ton of anxiety and like separation anxiety when we left. I think she's worried about being left again. So we've been giving her the treats, and I'm telling you, it works incredibly on dogs. It's wild because a little bit goes a long way. And as I mentioned earlier, they're mammals just like us. So 1 or 2 treats just really calms them down, but it doesn't drug them out. You know, I don't really want to give my dog something that'll make them feel loopy or nervous. So it just kind of gives them a more calm state. And I've noticed a huge difference with our new dog, our new puppy that we just got.
That is awesome. And Jenna and I are going to need that in our next shipment because we have 2 dogs that are absolutely wild sometimes on this podcast. So for people that are listening right here, right now, and they want to know like, where's the best place to find information about Soul CBD, or they want to get their hands on it, where can they learn more?
Yeah, so you could visit our website. It's mysoulcbd.com, or hop on Instagram. It's at mysoulcbd. Our team is super active in the DMs. We try to answer people, any questions. And then my Instagram is at official Mike Lee. If you have any questions, you know, as I mentioned earlier with autoimmunity, I've dealt with a lot of chronic pain. So I'm constantly having people there, you know, reaching out, and I don't have all the answers. I'm not a doctor, but you know, I think I have a lot of different tools that I've developed over the years out of necessity. And Angie's at Angie Lee Show. Did I get that right, Ange?
You did.
Nailed it.
You did.
Nailed it.
Yeah, come say hi to us. DM us any questions. We love answering questions on health, wellness. I'm always here for a good poop joke. You know, I post a lot of comedy content. So if you have a good sense of humor, come say hey. If you have any questions about CBD, life, anything, we're here.
Yeah, go check out Angie. She's a lot more interesting on Instagram than I am. I'm pretty boring. So,
but Mike's interesting in real life, IRL.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sharing yourselves, your product, and just your story with us. I think not only is this episode incredibly informative and educational, but really fun. And I also love both of your dynamic together. So thank you for inspiring us and providing us with such an awesome product. Guys, don't forget to use code WTAF when you check out to receive a discount on your Soul CBD products.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of What the Actual Fork Pod. We know there are a lot of pods out there, and we are so grateful that you are here listening with us. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, like, share with all your friends and faves, and follow along with us on social at What the Actual Fork Pod. We promise to continue to bring you the hottest topics, greatest guests, and the most fun you can possibly have while fighting diet culture bullshit. We love you, we appreciate you, and we will see you next week for a lot more fun.